Hello everybody, it's been a while since we've made a video, but here we are. It's mid-November 2022 and the New Zealand border is fully open again, finally. So we've started travelling, and today I'm coming to you from the beautiful city of Ahmedabad in Gujarat, India. And today's video, I just thought I would talk about something which everybody here is asking me, and that is, how can I secure a work visa in New Zealand without having to first pay exorbitant fees to study in New Zealand? And so I suppose this video would especially be useful for those of you who are coming from countries where perhaps there's no visa waiver program, so you cannot enter into New Zealand as a visitor first to start looking for work. And also perhaps for those of you who are a little bit older, maybe you've already completed your studies, you've got your bachelor degree or some postgraduate, you've been working, and it doesn't seem viable to fork out another 20,000, 30,000 or more in study fees, legal fees and everything to try to start again in a new country. Look, we all know that the student visa pathway is available, so this video is for those of you who want to see if there's another way to get into New Zealand without having to go through that pathway, because this is what everybody seems to be asking me here. Okay, so there's three things that I can say about this, or three things that you can do. Okay, first of all, what you want to do is you want to check your skills against what is required in New Zealand. Okay, because ultimately, let's be honest, immigration for New Zealand is not something like a lottery for you to have a benefit. It's actually for New Zealand to have a benefit. New Zealand wants your skills. So take a look through your CV, create a CV, match that up with what seems to be available in New Zealand for jobs. Now, when you're looking, you can do the research in a few ways. One way is you simply go to the websites that are the most popular for job seekers in New Zealand, and they are, first of all, trademe.co.nz, and secondly, seek.co.nz. That's S-E-E-K, not S-I-K-H like the Sikhs who are a religion here in India. Seek.co.nz. Now, these are the two main platforms online where people are posting jobs. There are others, but this is the first place you can take a look to check your skills, and you'll see that the jobs that are being advertised, you'll see clearly what's in demand, what people are looking for, and in those advertisements you'll also see the requirements for those jobs. So check this against what you have, what's your experience, what's your background. That's the first thing you want to do. And once you've done that, if you identify that you actually have some skills that match with what New Zealand is looking for, well, you can go ahead and actually just directly apply for jobs. Now, that'll take me on to the second piece of advice in a moment, but first of all, let's say what happens if you don't have those skills. If you find that the types of things you've been doing don't seem to be on offer in New Zealand, okay, well, that's when you might need to reconsider what your career pathway is. If you're really determined to move overseas to New Zealand, or even for Australia, Canada, USA, and you find out that the skills that those countries want are not what you have, okay, consider retraining in your home country. You don't have to fork out all the money to go and study overseas. You can find a way to retrain in your home country. Okay, now my advice for retraining in your home country is also to do your research and find out what types of colleges are acceptable in New Zealand. The New Zealand Immigration Operations Manual does actually list a number of schools in all countries around the world that have qualifications that are automatically accepted by New Zealand. Look it up, check it out, ask some immigration advisors to help you with it as well, because if you're going to retrain, you want to retrain in something that's acceptable in New Zealand, something that's useful. It's a beautiful morning out here with the lake, and let's go on to the second point, the second piece of advice. Okay, and that is, when you're looking for jobs, don't just stick only to direct applications with employers. Contact recruiters, contact recruitment companies. Okay, now there are a number of recruitment companies in New Zealand, large ones, small ones. Reach out to them and just simply ask the question, hey, here's my resume, my CV. Do you think that you might have anyone on your books in New Zealand who's looking for someone like me? Now, being offshore, you might get a cold shoulder, you might get some of them not responding. That's okay. It's okay to be persistent. Not too persistent. I don't mean send 3 emails every day and phone calls, but be persistent. Contact as many recruiters as you can, and simply ask, does my CV look attractive? And if you find some responses from them that aren't quite what you hope, or a little bit, let's say, negative, you can ask them, do you have any advice for me how I can improve my CV? What should I be doing to try to secure work in New Zealand? Do you have any advice for me? It's nothing wrong with asking, and some of them will be very kind and they will offer their opinions. Now, again, it's going to come down to what you have on your CV. If all you have is 3 years experience washing dishes in a local restaurant, then it's not going to be attractive to try to apply for jobs as a chef in New Zealand. But if you have, let's say 10 years experience working in commercial kitchens, let's say 5-star hotels, international airport, that type of thing, perhaps you'll have more luck and these recruiters will talk to you. So that's the second piece of advice. And my third piece of advice related to that, and this is key. Now, this is something which actually can apply to any applicant who's trying to move to a Western country. Okay, if you're coming from India, like here, if you're coming from China, from Korea, from any country where English is not necessarily your first language, and which is not necessarily a westernized country, there's one key piece of advice that I have, and that is try to learn to speak English in a very natural and friendly manner. Okay. One thing that's very clear to me walking around here in India is look, it's obviously a very populous place. Ahmedabad here has 8 million people, and there's a rich and deep cultural tradition here in India, as well as many other countries, that divides people into classes. And as a result of that, there's also a very clear divide between employer and employee. So there tends to be a kind of let's say, oh please sir, no sir type of way of speaking with an employer. Now, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, USA, it's not necessarily like that. Now, especially so in New Zealand, we have a very casual working environment by comparison to many of these larger countries. And what you find is that employers are more likely to want to hire you if they feel like they like you, and if they feel like they have a kind of an equal footing with you, that they can talk with you, they can feel comfortable. They don't want you to bow down at their feet and call them sir. Okay, maybe there are some who like this, but this is not, by and large, this is not the employment culture in New Zealand. So my advice is, when you're studying English, when you're practicing English, if it's your second language, try to find a way to practice general conversation, okay? Avoid this formality of calling people by titles, sir and ma'am, and try to develop a much more of a natural, kind of a friendly way of speaking, and this will take you very far in applying for jobs in New Zealand. Now, I'm not saying to treat the employer like it's your buddy from school. No, there are still ways to be polite and a little bit formal. However, that kind of a natural, easy way of speaking is what makes employers in New Zealand feel comfortable that they are dealing with a confident worker, someone who knows how to relate and who's going to fit into their working culture. Because the working culture in those Western countries is very different to some of these other countries, such as India and various others. So that's my key 3 pieces of advice today. I'm hopefully going to make some more videos while I'm here. We're going to be talking about studies as well, but this video mainly is for those of you who are trying to see if you can move to New Zealand or another country directly. There is a way, it is possible, and you just need to work on it. And we're going to go and enjoy a beautiful Sunday in Ahmedabad. Thank you, goodbye.